Hello, my name's Stuart Ashton. I'm a director at Blackmagic Design, EMEA. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the URSA Mini and how the URSA Mini has evolved over the last 12 months. For those of you who are familiar with the technology, we announced the product at NAB last year, but since then we've started shipping the 4K and the 4.6K versions and made a few significant announcements this year that will really enhance the performance of the camera even further. The camera here over my shoulder is actually showing the new software that we are hoping to release in the next few months. We decided that to increase the capability for the user, we wanted to increase the speed in which you can maneuver around each of the settings, but also as well add a few things in there like presets and also things like lookup tables. The general feeling is when you're actually on the camera now that everything is only 1 or 2 clicks away, which means that you can now access things like the frames per second, the iris settings, the ISO settings, and also things like zebras with a single click. When you actually go into the menu function now, you now can see your settings as you saw before, the recording, the monitoring, audio and setup, but also now you have presets. So if I am a DOP, I can actually set my own presets to how I want the look of the camera to be and how the camera should feel in terms of settings, and then I could copy that across multiple different cameras. It also means as well that I could load maybe more than one profile, up to maybe 6 profiles, and I could pick between the profiles as it suits the job. With LUTs, we can also preload from the CFast card a series of different looks that we want the camera to produce, which means that if we're shooting in, say, a music video and we want very high contrast or very bright light, we can balance the camera to look like it's appearing like the final project as we're shooting the content at the outset. I think that when you consider how the URSA is evolved, it really is become a camera that was initially designed for on-the-shoulder work, for documentary or for drama or for digital feature film production, to now really take another step in an interesting direction towards the studio world. We have other cameras in the product range, the micro studio camera, and we also have the studio cameras 4K and the studio camera HD that interact well with our ATEM switches. Now, one of the main questions that we were asked by our customers following the release of URSA Mini was the ability to utilize the 4.6K sensor with our ATEM switches. So the software that we announced at the show, which is 3.2, gives the camera actually the ability to receive all of the camera control, things like CCU control, color correction, directly from the ATEM, which now means in a studio environment, you can really utilize the camera in a studio way. If I move along to the next station, what you'll see is that we've also made an announcement on a product called the Studio Viewfinder. When you're working within a studio environment, one of the things that you don't have the luxury of is being able to work into a viewfinder working very tight. You want to be able to step back from your subject and step back from your camera and see everything as an overview. So we announced this 7-inch monitor called the Blackmagic Studio Viewfinder, which gives you a beautiful HD image of what your camera is producing with all of those overlays. It also has options on there as well to increase things like peaking, contrast and brightness, but also has a menu structure in there to allow things like zebras. It also gives you the option to go into different color channels as well. One of the nice things with this is that because it works on a multi-axis connection to the camera, you can actually move the HUD around, left to right, up and down, without having to adjust the camera or vice versa, which means that you don't have to move position every time that the camera is being moved. I think that with all of these enhancements that we're creating around the URSA Mini, we're really putting a lot of time and focus in making this camera the camera of choice for many different environments. We're very committed to keeping this camera at the forefront of all of our technologies, and it's something that we'll be investing a lot of time in, not just today, but also in the future.